Well, I guess it's day 39. I missed yesterday, obviously, because I had work to do. There was a lot of readings I had to get through, and by the end of the day, I just didn't really have the strength to go through a self-analysis. I find myself thinking a lot in general, but the thinking is more like drifting. So, in a way, I kind of feel like my thoughts are more like debris in the ocean. They sort of go wherever they're led. And I notice that I have less and less control over the moments when my mind goes on a tangent. It's why I have trouble reading certain books unless there's like a lot of action. It's why I like military books. It's why I like books about war, because my mind can focus on details and I don't have to go through this process of trying to put the data together in a way that makes sense from paragraph to paragraph or phrase to phrase. And I realized that my mind drifts to a variety of things. Sometimes it's daydreams. Sometimes it's fantasies. And I separate daydreams and fantasies only because the daydreams I consider more to be reality-based, whereas fantasies would be something that was complete fiction, like what if I got abducted by aliens or something, whereas daydreams could be just slightly different versions of something that's already occurring. That's in my mind anyway. I could be wrong based on definitions, but that's how I separate them. And then I think about things that cause me a lot of anxiety. So all of the things that worry me, and I get lost in this sea of alternate realities and current realities, lived experience, all that jazz. But there are these, I feel like they kind of feel like those, they kind of feel like moments, the moments when you just wake up from a dream and your brain hasn't caught up with your body. So you're up and awake, but your brain still feels like the dream was real in some kind of way. So there's that kind of limbo in consciousness between the dream and reality, and it takes a moment for everything to align. And my daydreams are kind of like that. I drift and I sort of veer off from reality, but then the dream itself or the fantasy land has a sort of real life impact on myself because I internalize the feelings of that alternate reality in the present reality. So the best way to explain this would be I'm standing waiting for a subway. I imagine someone pushing me in front of it. Obviously, that would kill me, but in this scenario, I'm imagining what will my mother feel like? What will my father feel like? What will my brother feel? What will these people say? What will happen to that person? Will there be whatever? I just go through all of that process. And sometimes I wake up from dreams where people have died, family members, or people have been tortured in my dreams, and I wake up in tears, like I actually cry in my dreams. which I don't know if that's normal. I have a sneaking suspicion that it's not, but I don't really know what normal is because I don't think I've ever been normal. um, but there's also the pleasant ones, when you're listening to a song and you're in your own world, you close your eyes and you can see the yellow submarine, or you can see Lucy in the sky with diamonds or something like that. It's kind of like word pictures. And those moments, the space between the dream and reality, I could build a cabin there and live there for the rest of my life. And I feel like it's the bridge. There's a bridge between the two worlds. And the pleasant dreams leading into reality, I can't tell if the reality makes, if the dream makes reality feel insufficient, or if the nightmare makes reality seem more desirable. But those times when before I become conscious of reality and while I'm still in the dream state, I feel like I could build a home on that bridge. But the days that they're not pleasant, I feel like I could just jump off that bridge into the rocks and waters below it, if I could. But I never really know what I'm gonna get when I go to sleep. And I used to say this prayer every night. I remember one time I didn't want to say my prayers, and my mother and her cousin, they punished me. They sat by the bed, and I was crying because I didn't want to say my prayers. And they made me say my prayers. They forced me. And it's not like they abused me or anything. I just didn't like being told what to do as a child. So when they told me to say my prayers and they forced me to do it, I did it begrudgingly. But the prayer that I used to say was, as I lay me down to sleep, I pray to the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray to the Lord my soul to take. And then I would say, bless mommy, bless daddy, bless everyone I know. Some days I would go into detail and say, bless grandma, who I called Mother Jones. Bless my brother Garfield. Bless my brother this person. Bless this person. Bless that person. Make the world a better place. I would have different wishes for different nights. Only on the nights when I wasn't forced to say them. If I die before I wake, I pray to the Lord my soul to take. I never really know what I'm going to get. I can't control my mind. Even when it comes to information that I introduce to it, it's almost like reading books for me. It's just suggesting to my brain information that may or may not be valuable, and I have no control over what I remember. Even the things that I drill into my head through constant study, they very rarely stay unless I practice. But prayers, the prayers stay. The music stays. The fingers get sloppy, but the notes are there. We are looking at SWOT analyses in the classes, and usually they're for organizations. And I remember having to do SWOT analyses when I was in business school. But applying the SWOT matrix to one's life, I feel like that could be something interesting as a jumping off point to potentially make changes, valuable changes, or to acknowledge what our strengths and weaknesses are. And for those who don't know what a SWOT matrix is or a SWOT chart, it's a SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So the strength and the weaknesses are internal, and the opportunities and threats are external to us. So we don't have any control over what opportunities are given to us or come our way, and we can't control the threats to our existence. Not with any degree of, well, we can probably mitigate them to some degree, but to control them completely with any degree of success is a fool's errand. The things that are internal to us, strengths and weaknesses, we do have some control over, more control than obviously the external things. But sometimes we mistake our weaknesses with opportunities, because weaknesses are things that we need to improve on. But if we say we'd like to seize the opportunity to improve fitness, or we would like the opportunity to read more, the opportunity to lift heavier weights, what we're really saying is we're not capable yet, so it is a weakness. So the opportunities are different. I'm not really sure where I'm going with this, only that it's something that we worked on today, and talking over things helps me to remember things and to piece it together in the context of what we're actually learning, which is public relations. And I'm finding myself a little bit flustered by the entire thing, to be honest, and I don't really fit in with the group 100% because I'm going through a lot of things that I don't necessarily want to share, and my default is to be a class clown because I don't know how to play their game, so I'm just going to not play it. At least not until next week when I am allowed to lie again. But I don't know if I will, though. This entire period of really analyzing, really looking at what I'm saying and really trying to be accountable to what I'm saying, I kind of like it. It makes public relations very difficult if you take it literally, but for the important things and in the broader sense, I don't think that there is any benefit to lying. Even in this short period, things have gotten exponentially better for me. I'm able to actually compose writing that's my thoughts rather than words that I think look nice strung together, which I've been keeping journals for 11 years, and I would say that maybe only a total of 2 years, and that's like 2 years not sequentially, only a total of 2 years of those 11 was I writing what I actually thought, as opposed to reiterating or just copying down other people's thoughts or writing other people's poetry, rewriting other people's essays. And I know that mimesis is a pretty key part in the development of one's own style. People copy until they find their own voice. But I feel like now I'm kind of figuring it out, and very slowly, because I'm not there yet. I'm far away from having this all figured out. I don't know if I'll figure it out in this lifetime. But understanding that we are not perfect, and understanding that I have a ton of weaknesses and some strengths, but not dwelling in my failure has been, it's been hard to do, but ultimately I feel like this whole not lying bit has gotten me to be a little less tough on myself. And maybe I don't care as much about the things that I used to. Like, I don't care as much about whether or not I'm wearing makeup or whether or not my hair is done. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's not. But what I can tell you is that it is what it is. And there's not a whole lot of effort on my end to do anything but try and share what's in here. Because at the end of the day, there's really no point in trying to present myself as something that I'm not. Because anyone that knows me knows me. And the ones that think they know me, well, they're in for a surprise. I feel like the only way to be successful at the job that I'm undertaking right now, the only way to be a success at it is to become Sad Pepe. Just sort of Eeyore-ish, Eeyore being the Winnie the Pooh reference, just sort of Eeyore-ish about everything in a sense. And being proactive has never been my strength. I've always been a reactive person. And having to make that switch is going to be hard. And it almost feels like I'm going to have to put on a 5-year Oscar performance in order to get it done. But I'll get it done. I have no choice but to get it done. So that is what will happen. Tomorrow's my last video. I'm going to do it from my apartment because I'm going back home for the weekend because Easter. I am going to try to go to church. I don't think I'm going to make it tomorrow, but I will make an effort. I'll make a decisive effort to go on Sunday. I know not all of you are religious. I know probably most of you aren't. I know that I'm still working on it on my end. And I still have a lot of questions and a lot of doubts. But I see no harm in blessing everyone and hoping that if I die in my sleep, that God will grant me peace. And I say God in the sense of the larger idea, not so much the Christian idea. It's just a word that we use, you know, Yahweh, God, Allah, Jah. It's all a positioning of the self and everything that makes us in the grand scheme of something that is larger, more powerful, and divine. And I think that is the soul, the Holy Spirit. And I think that when you can truly be around someone whose soul is pure, whose soul is unencumbered by the weight of reality, it gives you hope. It gives you hope that there are other people or just people out there who were able to figure this out, who were able to figure out at least that aspect of their life and live happily or in relative happiness. Maybe relative happiness is all that exists. Or maybe it's just like a state of numbness. We're numb probably 90% of the time, unhappy 9% of the time, and then happy that 1%. Oh, maybe it's a different spread for everyone. Probably is. I don't know what it's like to be anyone but me, so I can't speculate. What I can say is that everyone's got their issues. Everyone can experience happiness, even though it's momentary. And everyone can numb themselves to the harsh realities of the world. But at the end of the day, we have to believe in something. And I choose to believe that what I learned in my youth is the foundation of my existence as an adult. And that's why I am a Catholic. I'm a Catholic because I was raised Catholic. And it is the best way that I can live in this world in such a way that makes me feel whole. Anyway, I hope that some of that made some kind of sense. And I will be back tomorrow for my last day of this 40 days of Lent. Right now, I am going to probably write a few more notes, reading a book, but I have peppy Post-its. Pepe. And I have my journal in front of me. I'm going to do a little reading. I'm going to organize my junk for tomorrow and try to get to bed early so that I can kickbox in the morning, because I plan to do the kickboxing for 2 days in a row and I have not gone. Instead, I have read and eaten broccoli. In any case, thanks for watching.